Hello, let's start with bolted connections. So, in last lecture, we have already mentioned that this topic, that is the design of steel connections, is divided into two main parts, that is bolted connections and welded connection. So, the first point is bolted connections. Let's start with types of bolts. There are two types of bolts mainly we have to discuss. First one is black bolt. Black bolts are made from mild steel rods with square or hexagonal head and nuts as shown in figure, and it is confirmed by IS 1363. Okay, as I have already mentioned in the last lecture, last video, that is nowadays structural members are connected to one another through bolts or welds mainly, and the use of rivets is generally avoided due to its some disadvantages, and that's why the uh, bolted connections are generally preferred in most of the cases instead of riveted connections. So the simple type of uh, bolted connection is done by using black bolts. So black bolts are ordinary, rough, unfinished and commonly used bolts. They are mainly used for light structures such as purlins, bracings in civil engineering structures. These bolts are generally used to construct or fabricate a light structures. They are generally used for impact or dynamic loadings. So let's see the detailed diagram of black bolt. Just see this picture. This shows the details of black bolt here from left, that is bolt head, the larger part, that is bolt head. It is 1.65D up to 1.9D. That means the bolt head is 1.65 times the diameter of shank. Okay, here you can see shank part, half smooth part is shank part of the bolt, and remaining half part that shows threads, that is threaded part or thread part, and the total length of bolt is mentioned excluding its head, bolt head, and that is shank plus thread is total length of the bolt, and that remaining part is not considered in bolt length because it is nut. Okay, that head part is, that is nut. You can see in the second diagram, that is nut part. Okay, some people might be confused between the exact difference between the bolt and nut. ओके, काही लोक बोल्ट आणि नटमध्ये पण काय बेसिक डिफरन्स असतो ह्याच्याबद्दल पण अवेअर नसतील, तर त्यांच्यासाठी इथे क्लिअर डिफरन्स जो तुम्हाला इथून पुढे लक्षात ठेवायचा आहे, लक्षात राहायला पाहिजे, तो म्हणजे बोल्ट. सिंपल आहे लक्षात ठेवायला. बोल्ट मध्ये 4 लेटर आहेत, जो की मोठा वर्ड येतो तो, आणि बोल्ट पार्टही तसा, तोची लेंथ जास्त असते, तो मोठा असतो. नट हा दिसायला छोटा पार्ट आहे आणि नटची स्पेलिंग 3 लेटर आहे, बोल्टची 4 लेटर आहे. तर अशा प्रकारचे लक्षात ठेवतो. नट छोटा असतो, त्याची स्पेलिंग छोटी आहे. बोल्ट हा लांब, लेंथ जास्त असते. बोल्ट हा मोठा असतो, त्याची अल्फाबेट 4 येतात त्याच्या वर्डमध्ये. ठीक आहे, अशा प्रकारे लक्षात ठेवण्यासाठी ट्रिक आहे. तर बाकी पार्ट टेक्निकल लक्षात घ्या. त्याच्यामध्ये बोल्ट हेड 1.65 टाइम्स डी आहे. डी म्हणजे डायमीटर ऑफ शंक. त्याची ती झाली त्याची थोडक्यात हाईट, बोल्ट हेड. आणि बोल्ट हेडची जर विड्थ म्हटलं तर दॅट इज ऑलमोस्ट 0.65 डी. ठीक आहे. तर अशा प्रकारचं ते हेक्झॅगोनल हेड, ब्लॅक बोल्ट अँड नट हे दोन्ही इथे फिगरमध्ये दाखवलेले आहेत. ओके, so this is about black bolt. Let's see the advantages of black bolts. These are the advantages of black bolt over the riveted or welded connection. Okay, we are mentioning these advantages of black bolt as compared to or over the riveted or welded connections. ठीक आहे. तर फर्स्ट ॲडव्हान्टेज ऑफ ब्लॅक बोल्ट इज इट रिक्वायर्स सिम्पल टूल्स अँड अनस्किल्ड लेबर. ओके, इट रिक्वायर्स सिम्पल टूल्स अँड अनस्किल्ड लेबर. देर इज no necessity of fully skilled laborers to join nut and bolt. Okay, this is very simple connections. It is noiseless. Okay, it does not create any type of noise during its fabrication. You can join nut and bolt to the another part by joining two part with the nut and bolt. You can't make noise. It is noiseless. Progress of work is fast. Okay, the progress of work using bolted connections is always fast as compared to other methods, because you don't require that much time to fit nut and bolt as compared to riveted or welding connections. Lapse of time for cooling is not required. Okay, as these connections are cold connection. There are two types of cold and hot connections. Bolted connections comes under cold connections, and that's why there is no necessary to keep that joint for cooling purpose. Okay, that operation is already cooling operation. Again, no specialized equipment is required. Obviously there are some basic requirements only for these connections, that is nut, bolt and connecting members. Okay, so special equipment, specialized extra equipment or any machinery is not required. Okay, it is easy to dismantle and reuse the materials, and this is again a very important advantage of black bolts, as it is very easy to dismantle. These connections can be easily dismantled. That is, the just remove the nut and bolt and you can separate the connecting parts. Okay, and you can easily reuse all the materials separated from these connections. Okay, so this is about a black bolts, and these are the advantages and basics of black bolt. This is another or second part of the bolted connection. Second type of bolted connection, high strength bolts. These are also called as high strength friction grip bolts, HSFG bolts. Okay, high strength friction grip HSFG bolts are made from the medium carbon steel. Okay, carbon content is in a very high much amount in this type of bolts, and that's why they are termed as medium carbon steel content bolts. High strength friction grip HSFG bolts are bolts and nut shall conform to IS 3757 1972. This is a particular that IS code in which these bolts are mentioned. Nowadays, high strength friction grip bolts have replaced rivets and are being used in structures such as high rise buildings, bridges, machines, etc. Okay, so you can compare these structures are heavy structures, and we can say high strength bolts are used to making high loading structures. Okay, these are some advantages of HSFG bolts. Loads are transferred by friction only. Okay, simply loads transferred through friction. There is no noise pollution. Deformation is minimized. There are no stress concentration in the holes. It does not allow the slip between connected members. Okay, as name itself indicates that high strength friction grip. ओके, फ्रिक्शन ग्रिपची स्ट्रेंथ फार जास्त असणार आहे असं नेम इंडिकेट करतो. हाय स्ट्रेंथ फ्रिक्शन ग्रिप बोल्ट्स, त्याच्यामुळे तिथे कोणता स्ट्रेस कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन किंवा स्लिप होण्याचा बिलकुल चान्स नाही आहे. इट डज नॉट अलाउ द स्लिप बिटवीन कनेक्टेड मेंबर्स, कारण त्याची स्ट्रेंथ फ्रिक्शन ग्रिपच फार स्ट्रॉंग असणार आहे. तर कोणता स्लिप किंवा स्ट्रेस कॉन्सन्ट्रेशनचा तिथे इश्यू नसेल. Alterations can be done easily. Alterations त्याच्यामध्ये इझिली करता येतील. ठीक आहे. Few persons are required to make the connections, thus cost is reduced. Again, these are the this is a type of bolted connection. That's why few persons can do lot of work in less time, and there is no necessity of the lot much labor, and therefore the overall cost of operation is reduced, and that is also a part of its economy. Okay, this is about the two basic types of bolted connections, and the remaining type we will see in the next video. So I hope you get this, and okay, thank you.